Welcome to the Suzanne and Sarah Real Estate Investing Podcast, where strategy meets hustle and your real estate goals turn into reality. Where Suzanne and Sarah, investors, agents, and your go-to team for smart strategies, honest insights, and plenty of laughs along the way. Whether you're flipping, renting, or just starting out, we're here to help you invest smarter and live better. So let's dive in because the best time to invest is now.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the Suzanne and Sarah Real Estate Investing Podcast.
Yeah, you know us. We're just two real estate agents and investors here in Central Oregon, helping people build wealth through real estate without losing their minds, hopefully.
Yep. And sometimes we do these episodes from our couches on mornings where you get us pretty fresh, we'll say, fresh-faced from an early wake up and
Heck
a
yeah.
fun morning. So yeah, you get us polished and unpolished all the time. But you guys, it is the summer solstice today, and the high in Bend is supposed to be 54 degrees. And I was just sitting outside having coffee. It is flipping cold out there, but the sun is still out. So yeah, the market and our workload, though, you guys, feels like spring. It's just a little bit delayed this year. So that is the update on our market. Things are happening quickly and we're hustling. We got a lot of deals going, which is exciting.
So that's the work front, but more on the personal front. It's summer. We just talked about it being the summer solstice. And for us, all around, really, that means more time with family. And Suzanne herself even just got back from a couple weeks back in Baja this past week. And one of her greatest passions is travel and life. And she got to share that with her nieces and her sister-in-law for their first international trip south of the border this time. What do you think, Suzanne? Is this an annual event now for you? Or how are you feeling after that couple
Yes.
weeks away?
Maybe it'll be Baja again with the nieces. If it's not, we would love to be taking them to Europe or just somewhere. Like, we love sharing the gift of travel because it's so transformational and has been for me when I was a young adult. It changed my life to do a study abroad program when I was in my sophomore year of college or of high school. And that is just something that I want to be able to continue sharing with the nieces and our family, because ultimately what matters most to us at the end of our lives, and ideally all through our lives, but sometimes we don't stop to reflect, is people and experiences. And that's what I am here to collect and help other people do the same.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Said, what did they just get out of school? Was that what the timing was? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
summer break for them as well, just like your kids.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. My kids had their last days of kindergarten and fourth grade last week, which feels like so long ago right now. And last week in and of itself was like this crazy culmination of all the school events and the chaos of being last week of school. And then we surprised our kids with theirs and mine very first trip to Disneyland. So we hopped on a plane and flew to LA past Saturday. We did a quick 4-day trip with them out of office. And reflections on that for me as well. I understand that's why it's the happiest place on earth for some. It's not my happiest place. I spent 4 days feeling sick to my stomach because I don't do rides very well. But I really, of course, it was the best thing to see just the sheer joy and thrill and excitement on our kids' faces, because it's a place truly to make memories in a very condensed and exciting way. And it was cool because I got to see my kids get along and I got to hold their hands a lot. And those just aren't things that happen at home all the time. And I think practicing those things together there in a very intense and condensed way has actually, I've seen it translate while coming back home. And so we're just hoping to keep that party going. And actually had a revelation yesterday with Matthew about where we are in the summer because of his fear of summer and spending time with the kids. We just moved to a neighborhood where there aren't a lot of kids, and we were thinking how that was going to be tough. But actually what we're seeing is now, because there's no kids around us, that our kids are having to play with each other. And I'm like, wow, what a blessing in disguise. I think it's actually all going to work out for what I'm hoping for them in their relationship. So feeling good about that.
So awesome. I love it. Sometimes the things that we fear the most end up being the biggest gifts for us. So that is great and good for them and their relationship building and spending quality time together in the summer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's so true, Suzanne. I think that's true in a lot of parts of my life. Just what I fear the most tends to be the best. So yeah, market and business updates. Let's roll right on into that there. What are we
Super.
seeing in
All
the
right, you
market right
guys. Yeah, I mean, it's like a spring market. And technically, is today actually the solstice? Is it today? June 20th? Hold, please.
now? I'm
Sarah.
pretty sure.
Okay. Anyways, it still feels like spring. And what we mean by that is like things feel like they're still ramping up and we have not hit the peak yet. And what we're seeing is that we are very busy writing offers and doing showings. We've got clients coming into town and looking at properties with us. We've got some new listings coming online and some listings moving quickly. The well-priced ones that we've had have gone pending quickly. The ones where folks are trying to eke out the every last dollar, those ones are sitting. And that's true across the board and not just in Bend, Oregon. We're seeing that in other parts of the state and even the country because we are connected with folks all over the country. So yeah, the market is moving with well-priced homes. Other thing interesting, we have more inventory than we have had since COVID. And the other thing that's hard for sellers to accept, but is our new reality, is they cannot compare their homes to homes that sold even 6 months ago because we are in the era of listings that had price drops on a weekly basis. We have all these optimistic sellers that have been waiting, hoping rates would come down so that they could get into the market at a rate similar to what they're going to be selling. But ultimately, like a lot of people had the same idea at the same time, which means there's more inventory, buyers have more choices. And yeah, it's just, there's more to choose from for those buyers. Yeah, like we said, either if they're well priced, they're moving in the first week, or they're sitting for 3+ months. So for our sellers out there in Central Oregon, it is time to be patient and realistic about your timelines because it is moving towards more of a buyer's market again.
Yeah, and how that translates to specifically what we've been working on and staying real busy doing the past few weeks. We have so many fun things that we're working on, and it's hard to keep track at this point. But we just got a new buyer under contract, or I shouldn't say new buyer, a buyer that we have had for a long time. Our favorite buyer, one of our favorite buyers, just got him under contract on an off-market deal that was brought to us by someone in our community. And it's just like this really cool down to studs Sun River home in a really quiet, beautiful area, a nice size. And we've seen this guy take things from studs to beautiful properties before. And we're really just excited to see him do it again. And what's been so cool about this is it's been like a long and slow communication over the past several weeks directly with the seller. And it's been a process of establishing relationship and trust. And we got this buyer under contract on this home for, what is that math there, $120,000 less than they originally thought they wanted to get for this property, just by communication and showing people facts. And I think also just like bringing people good buyers. Again, there's a lot that can be done in negotiations when it comes to having a good team and people who communicate well on your behalf. We did an inspection yesterday in Redmond on a contingent fourplex for a buyer, and that was a trip. We can talk about that a little bit later. We've got a 1031 exchange going on in Klamath Falls, of all places. Listen, guys, we have more buyers coming to us these days saying we want your help, specifically Sarah and Suzanne, because of how awesome I know you are and how I know you work. And we don't care that you're helping us buy in the market that you are not a specialist in. And it's full disclosure across the board. And here's the deal. We are licensed across the state of Oregon. We can help anyone anywhere in Oregon, but we just give people the facts. Like and they still want to work with us. So that's been fun. And we can still get that done. We had a closing this week for a primary home buyer who we've been searching with for 2 years. And she finally just came around and is super happy with where she's at. She moved like 4 doors away from where she was renting. She's stoked. She's already got her community bills in.
And the
Oh
fun
man, we
part
listed a
about that story,
yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to interrupt really quickly,
Yeah,
is because
please.
she was thinking like, maybe I'll just rent again, find another rental, wait for rates to come down, blah, 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 blah. This last year was her first year of being a renter. And guess what she didn't get? She didn't get the tax write-off of having a primary home for her interest expense. And it was significant for her financial situation. She ended up owing a lot more money this year than she had ever owed before because she didn't have the home interest expense deduction. So that is actually what spurred her to hustle up and find a property and get under contract and close early, because she was like, I'm missing out on a big financial opportunity here that I've become used to and didn't even factor into the idea of being a renter, that you don't get those things. Just an interesting story for a lot of folks. I know for some people you do have to rent and just kind of get your ducks in a row, right? For a little while until you buy. But the big kicker is the tax savings you get from owning real estate, whether it's your primary home or as an investment. Those savings are real and significant.
I love that you just brought that point up because, yeah, we talk about the tax benefits of real estate for investors all the time. And yeah, I think we do tend to overlook, and maybe a lot of people tend to overlook how much they're saving on their taxes just because they actually own a home and aren't renting. So
Yep.
thanks for that context, Suzanne. Moving on with all the things, we had another referral for a new seller who's an out-of-state seller he's in California, and he owns, for whatever reason, owns a manufactured home in Prineville, about 15 minutes outside of Prineville, and he owns a single-family home, stick-built home in Detroit. And again, not exactly our area, but
Detroit Lake. I just want to be clear. Detroit Lake. That's
right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's near, like just past Sisters as you're heading towards Corvallis and I-5. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, great. Fabulous. Yeah. And I think like the things that stuck out to me about that relationship is, again, just like the communication. And one of the first things he told me after starting to communicate with him was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how friendly people are in Oregon. I was like, oh, all right, that's nice. I'm not really sure what he's comparing it to. But anyways, we got one of his listings up this past week, 1976 manufactured home on a beautiful lot in Prineville. And I think it'll be a good home for somebody. Working with a few more buyers who are on the hunt for unicorn properties that don't really exist. So that's always fun. And we listed the least expensive condo in Powder Village. That was like a week and a half ago,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. Yeah. And we've tried to sell this house this condo two
This
times
is our
ago, one time.
second shot at it. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to let you talk about this, Suzanne, because let's talk about the difference between the last time we listed it and this time, I think.
Oh, what can I say about this? The last time we listed it was back in 2022, and our seller wanted to maximize. She was going through a divorce. She wanted to she thought she wanted to cash out on this place, and the market was very different at that time. And we initially listed it at $395. And this is a studio condo, but the comps supported that back in 2022, you guys. And subsequently, after her divorce, she just needed a place to land that was safe and familiar and comfortable. And so she was like, hey guys, actually, I'm going to take it off the market and I'm going to rent it out. Or no, I'm going to live there. And in the meantime, we helped her buy a property in La Pine because she had this vision of building a dog boarding kennel, which is badly needed in South County. So helped her buy that property. And then really it just became time for her to get closer to her family, which is in California. She said, okay, you guys, I'm ready to make the move. I'm ready to sell my condo. And the condo just below hers sold in the last 6 months for $200,000 or $190,000, super low. But like we were just talking about, that is the most recent comp. So what is an appraiser going to use? That comp. There were a few others that we were able to use to push her value up a little bit, but we listed it at 224.9, and we got an offer within the first week. And so that really goes to show like just the difference that a few years makes in terms of value of properties. And that's a pretty significant one. But I will also say it was priced back in 2022 optimistically, we will say, very much above what it was actually worth, which is why it didn't sell at that point. And she wasn't also particularly motivated. So motivation change and price
Yeah.
change made all the difference.
Yeah, I think really good. I mean, the shift in the market, number one. And then again, what we see in so many sellers' lives is, or with so many sellers, is the shift in their lives that happen over a short period of time as well. And we have another great example of that too, where just recently, and I'll finish up with this because we've got so much going on, but another listing that we had out in Redmond, a 10-acre listing, beautiful home, $1 million property. I think we've even talked about this before, but like we had a full price offer for this guy and he had an assumable loan at the time. And he realized when he finally got an offer, the seller got cold feet. He was like, oh shoot, I have to do something different with my life now instead of live here. And what's funny is we just heard from the same buyer's agent with a new buyer giving us a new offer for this house that's even a little bit better than the last offer he had. And this has given us the opportunity to re-engage with this seller, checking in where they're at in their life. And things have changed enough again in the past 6 months that they're ready to seriously consider a sale now. I don't know. It's fun. And real estate is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And it's definitely about relationships and staying in touch. So why do we do real estate, you guys? This is our topic of the week. And this is something that Suzanne and I this is the foundation. This is something we've been talking about from our origin story. But recently, like we've been revisiting this and whatever, this is something we revisit often, but we're really diving deep now into our why. And this is part of our business plan. This is part of a foundational part of who we are and what we do. But now that we've refined it for ourselves and we are truly living it, we have made it our mission to share what we've learned and help others with their visions and mindsets with actionable advice based on like our experiences and what we've done, and to help others who have a strong why in their lives leverage the power of real estate. Listen, real estate has a ton of sectors and they can all fuel your best life and your dreams and your visions. And if you ask me, we live in the best place to do that and execute that dream. And we are here to help you understand how and why. So, Suzanne, how do we do this? Let's dive into this a little bit more and really helping people define their why, or at least like start asking themselves how their why relates to real estate, I think.
Yes. And we talked about this yesterday at our private money lending meetup, that if you missed it, you will be able to catch the replay on our YouTube channel right here where you may be watching our podcast. Real estate investing, for so many people who come to us, the goal is I want to invest in real estate to create more freedom and time in my life to do the things I want. And we had some attendees yesterday who have done exactly that. They have kicked corporate, they have left the 9 to 5 in order to focus and prioritize on things that are more important: family, spending time with people, building a life that fuels that freedom and those experiences and the connections with people that I talked about earlier, because ultimately that is what matters. And real estate is a tool to get there. And it really helps you build your own life, whether you want to bootstrap and DIY it like I did for the first few years in my real estate investing career, or if you just want to kick corporate but juice the heck out of your W-2 before you leave, which we talk about a lot with our Kick Corporate initiative. We can really help you identify where you are on that continuum of time and money, because at different points in our life, we have more of one than the other. When we're young, we have more time than money. When we're older, we have maybe more money than time. And it just depends on where we're at in that life cycle. And the other component to that is also health. So I talk about this a lot to everyone who will listen in my community about a book that I read that really helped put this into perspective for me, which is called Die with Zero. And the whole idea is we've got these 3 variables that we in our lives, and we're trying to solve for maximum life enjoyment. So the three variables are time, money, and health. Those are the absolute three most important things in our lives to maximize our enjoyment of it. When we're young, we have tons of time, we're super healthy, we have no money. But we can afford to make mistakes when we're young and try things, fail, try again, succeed. And then when we're in the middle of our lives, generally people are raising families and working their corporate jobs. At that point, you have more money, way less time, and you're still pretty healthy. Then when you get to the last third of your life, you have money, you're retired, you have time, but inevitably at some point, your health tends to decline. So you have to maximize your life enjoyment during those golden years of where you have all three at the same time. And really, that's the demographic that ends up finding us. For the most part, we work with people of all ages, but ultimately, folks are trying to maximize between the ages of 25 and 65 to solve for that maximum life enjoyment where they've got the money, they've got the time, and they've got the health to enjoy their lives and create memorable, lasting experiences for themselves and the people they love.
And in my opinion, solving for maximum joy means gravitating towards Central Oregon, because there's definitely something special here to support that. And that's where, again, like Suzanne said, that's who most of our clients are, people who are solving for that joy factor, whether they know it or not. And I love having that like in an empirical form to think about and move around the parts. So people who come here, it's cool because like we all automatically have something in common, right? We're here for similar reasons. We want to maximize our quality of life. And really, guys, like, unfortunately, like that's something that's really hard to put a price on. That's a hard thing to equate a value to, because really, isn't that invaluable? like you can't put a price on that, really. So there's no doubt, like, Bend is a lifestyle market, and here for investors, like, you're not moving here and buying here for cash flow. It's really just more of a life return thing. And I will say, however, like, still, if you have good guidance and make smart moves, it can be both. It just might not be immediate, right? It can happen in a relatively short amount of time. Suzanne and I are prime examples of how to invest in Central Oregon and create properties and a lifestyle that can do both. And yeah, we just really want to share it. So I think that's where we're at there. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I guess
What
just
are
to
things
build
to
on
keep in
that
mind here?
is we are strategic thinkers. So back, 15 years ago, I knew that I wanted to create financial freedom for myself. And I set out really ambitious goals to get there. And I actually got there sooner than I thought. But it was all about having a strategy in place. Did I follow it completely every step of the way? No. Did everything work out the way I thought it would? No. But it's all about knowing what you want and then creating the steps that you need to get there. And that's what Sarah and I do for our clients, is help you figure out, what is your goal? Why do you want the passive income? What is it going to do for you? Because having money in itself is not really that valuable unless you know what you're going to do for it, unless you know what it gets you, what it buys you. And for most people, that is time and freedom to do what you want with your time. So that is something that we are passionate about, both for ourselves and for our clients. And that is the value that we bring. And I think that's why we've been so successful, is like, we walk the talk, we live the life. Like, we're doing this ourselves, learning, reiterating, and adapting as the market shifts and our situations shift. And like, Sarah's a great example too. Like, she wanted to live on the river. She thought it was like years down the road. I don't know if you can see in the background, like, she's got beautiful sunshine and she like lives on the river, you guys. Like, she made this happen in no time because she had a goal and a strategy. She seized the opportunity when she saw it, and Sarah's living her best life already.
Yeah, and it's not without effort. It's not without some sacrifice. Like, it's not without living in a house that is completely torn apart for a little while, but it's all for a greater cause, really. And it's definitely a mindset thing where just enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really,
One,
guys.
sorry, I just want to
Yeah,
say
go
one
ahead.
last thing about this. Also, one thing we talked about yesterday in our meetup is real estate is absolutely a great avenue. Buying real estate, investing in real estate is a great avenue for creating that freedom in your life. But Sarah just showed in her background, like she's living in a construction zone and she will be until like November. Okay. So she is sacrificing what? Comfort to get there.
Comfort.
So comfort, absolutely. Yeah. And we have those three things that we can invest. We can invest our time, our money, or our comfort to get to where we want to go. And for some people, they're just not willing to live in a construction zone. Like, just not going to happen. Okay. Totally understand and respect that. For those people, maybe they have more money than time. In that case, private money lending is probably the answer. They don't have to get their hands dirty. They don't have to live in a construction zone and live with drywall dust on everything for the next 6 months. They can just take their money, invest it with people who are doing projects like this, who are responsible and good stewards of money and have good projects underway, and be in the real estate game, not consumed by it, living in the chaos, and earn really strong returns. Like what we see for private money lenders at this point in time is a minimum 12% return on investment, oftentimes much higher than that. Are you going to get that in the stock market? We always hope so, but like at least what I love about private money lending is you have more control. You get to choose the deals that you invest in. You get to choose the borrowers that you invest with. You get to analyze the deals, which is something obviously we love, and many people who invest in real estate really love that part because it's analytical. It's pretty much black and white. It's not emotional. And so it gives you like that sense of being involved in it, but like you don't have to swing a hammer. You can invest from anywhere. Like the first 3 private money lending deals I did, I was in France. I could do it from anywhere, from the beach. So anyways, I just wanted to put that out there for those of you who find yourselves at a different point along that continuum, and give you another opportunity to think about how you can employ your money in a way that can make it work for you so you don't have to work so hard.
Yeah, I think we need to do an entire podcast on, maybe that's next week, Suzanne, really, because there's just so much to talk about when it comes to private money lending and like how to implement that strategy, just even for people who are doing real estate investing also and doing other things on the time effort continuum as well alongside. So lots to learn. We can get into with you in a personal capacity if you want to reach out to us in that front, or just keep listening here and glean what you can in the meantime.
All right, you guys, we've got a similar theme rolling as we get into our client and industry PSA this week. And it's about time versus money and know your lane. You have to know where you land on this time and money and effort continuum. So what are you trading in a deal? Are you trading your time, living in a flip and doing all the work, or are you trading money so that you can start earning more passive income and return on your investment? That is the question. Time or money? What are you sacrificing?
Yes, for sure. And that is such a powerful lens. Like it shapes everything that we do and how we advise our clients, right? It shows the types of properties we show, how we talk about financing for properties. Like there are things that are not even in the realm of other people's brains that we can talk about that contribute to this. Even property management and different rehab strategies. It all looks different when you look at it with this specific equation. When joy is what you're solving for. It just looks different.
And the thing is, like, some buyers are super hands-on. We've got this really young, eager flipper who has time. He's down to roll up his sleeves. He's at every single inspection. He is like ready to dive headfirst into this project and put all of his time and his very limited capital into this deal to create a return that will fuel him to move down along that time effort continuum. So then eventually he will have more time. But on the flip side, we just sold a property to somebody who what he wanted was very clear. He wanted a turnkey short-term rental that he didn't have to fix up, decorate, or really do anything for except to sign on the dotted line. And we never met the guy in person. Like, it was probably one of the easiest transactions because he knew exactly what he wanted and he knew what he had. He had money. He did not have time. And so it was very clear and easy for us to bring him the exact right deal because we knew what he needed.
Yeah. So this is important to be able to guide our clients, right? But it's also important for us too. Again, we are the examples and we have to get clear and be flexible too. Like this is the experiences that we have personally are what make us so valuable, right? So we get to make the mistakes and have the successes in building equity through doing flips, like Suzanne and I have both done to help us get where we are. And we have to decide, are we lending out capital right now, or are we putting our money towards this new short-term rental, right? Are we focused on referral income right now and building the brand? There's just so many things to focus your attention on. And it's easy to get squirrel brain, whether you're a client, a buyer, or whether you're an agent. So like we all need to focus together, take the value of our experiences, but understand that we need to stick in a lane in order to make, and then shift lanes. So we just can't be in multiple lanes at once in order to really get anything done in a quality way.
Yes. And so that's really the wrap up here for the industry PSA, which is just to know your lane. Know that your time and your money are both tools, and you can figure out the proportion that you have at a certain time. Maybe your goal is to get to a different proportion, right? But you use what you have to your advantage for as long as you need to until you can shift the balance between the time money continuum. And ideally, I think most of us would like to have the balance of a lot of time and a lot of money. That's the goal. So use the one you have, be intentional about building up the one that you currently have less of. All right, let's move on to our client PSA. Sarah, your favorite topic. I love this because you're so good at this. Unicorn deal syndrome.
Yeah, we've got a couple clients with this right now, I would say, and it's in the investment sector, I think, and it's important to talk about because again, with us, you need to trust us when we tell you that something is a good deal, right? When something comes along. So let's just talk about the examples, I guess. We've got two clients right now that I would say they're searching for unicorn deals. And one of them, we had on a platter presented them with this wonderful 4-unit property in Bend, completely remodeled, 4 doors for $1 million. And they've told us recently that their threshold is $400,000 a door. So let's do the math there. We were already winning there. We offered them seller carry financing at rates that you don't see very often. It was the perfect deal. And they decided it wasn't good enough for them and they passed on it. And they've been looking ever since. And it's probably been 6 to 8 months at this point that they've still been looking. And they were planning to come back into town this weekend and are still looking for a multifamily here for their own reasons. And we just had to tell them, listen, the last deal we brought you was the best one I think we could have ever possibly brought you. And you said no to that. So we just don't know how to bring you something that will work if that last one didn't. And so I'm going to stop there, right? That's for me. And also, our other example would be some clients we are helping shop for an investment property outside of our area, but they want to use us. And we wrote them an offer last week that was exactly what they asked us to write. And they got a counter offer back from the seller. The seller chose their offer. It was a multiple offer situation at their maximum escalation price. And they decided that they didn't want to do it because they didn't feel like they were getting a good deal. Like it was very confusing for me because you say one thing and in one situation and then you get a yes and then you walk away. Like I again didn't really know what to do there. So we love the optimism, but ultimately real estate is a strategy. There's no deal that's perfect. And most great deals don't look perfect on paper. And you have to listen to us when we tell you it's a good deal. Yeah.
All right, you guys, it's one of my favorite sections. We are here at the highs and lows of the week. So Sarah, give us the highlight from our week.
Yeah, I think it's that we both took time off at the same time, like not intentionally. And poor Suzanne had to come back on before she really needed to or wanted to, but it was exciting and energizing. And we just love when we get to do that. I think it's time off we don't live to work, we work to live. And then here's the other thing, guys. Our first day back was energizing for me. Like I came home and I was like, oh, that was such a great day. And here's the deal. I got back at 12:30 a.m. from a flight of being gone at crazy Disneyland, whatever, for multiple days. And then I got up and I went to work. I was in the office by 8:30 the next day because I wanted to. That was a choice. I was physically there. Can't tell you how mentally not there I was, but I was physically there. I had a great day. So that was the highlight of my week.
Yes, it was so fun to just get to hear each other's trip stories and just collectively acknowledge that our bodies were there in the office and our minds were like halfway there. But man, we had a lot of laughs and it was great. We got a lot done too. Even when we're like at half energy, I still think we get as much done as most people do in much less time. But one part of that day was me admitting to Sarah that like the new CRM that we adopted a few months ago is just not working for me. It was more of a question like, Sarah, are we really going to keep using this thing that we're like, we guess works for us, but like our old one, we had totally dialed. We knew our business in a quick snapshot, like it was super streamlined and easy and understandable. And we both came to the conclusion also with the input of our transaction coordinator who was like, I don't like it. It's too slow. It's just, it didn't work for him either. So you know what? You win some, you lose some. We tried something new. It's a really robust tool, which is great. And maybe there will be a time and a place in our business for that down the road. Certainly our business is big enough to warrant something this powerful, but it's just not very user friendly. And we honestly do not have the time to set it up properly to make our lives easier. We're going to stop the bleeding and pivot back to our beloved sphere. For those of you real estate agents out there, it is so user friendly, so easy. It's simple, and it gives you a really quick snapshot of your business, and it's affordable. So there you go. We'll put the link, our affiliate link, in the show notes so you can check it out. Okay, so one thing that I want to just talk about in terms of what we are grateful for, we had an awesome night out. Our brokerage is Realty One Group Discovery, and every month our particular brokerage does a one night out. And last night was just so special because I was sitting next to some folks that were just parked at our table who were visiting from Austin, Texas, and just chatting with them a little bit because I was at the end of the table and they were like, so wait, you're all realtors, but you're like all here and you're friends? And I was like, yeah. She was like, wow, that's unusual. Aren't you all competitors? And I was like, technically, I guess we are, but really, Janelle, our principal broker, managing broker, has created a culture of collaboration that is so incredibly special. And they felt it last night. So it was fun to have that reflected by some outsiders, and we always feel that too. And I think it's something easy for us to take for granted because it's just the culture of our environment all the time, but we know that it is very unique and not something that happens in most real estate brokerages. And the other thing that happened yesterday is Sarah and I hosted our meetup event. We had 4 of our colleagues join us at the meetup event as wanting to learn from us, and that feels good. And they also offered help. I had some technical issues, and so they even had some ideas for optimizing our tech usage for some of our meetups. So it was just really special and felt great to know that we have true colleagues and friends in our business.
Yeah, it feels really good, the collaboration. And just when you're in the right place with the right people. That's just where we are. Yeah. So funny things from this week. I mentioned that fourplex inspection earlier on in the episode. And if you've ever dealt with tenant occupied properties, you know that it can be special, and especially when you're inspecting them because you're walking into people's lives who don't technically have any real ownership, but that is their space. And usually tenants are really nervous when properties change hands. They tend to feel like people are judging them or analyzing their space, or I don't know, just they're fearful because it's change and there's not a lot of security involved there. And we had a particularly special group of tenants who walked in on and we're talking to in one of the units yesterday, and our home inspector was getting the party started. He had 4 units. He was doing his normal thing, walking through, and he had asked in every other unit if there was anybody else home that he should be aware of. And he did not ask that in this particular unit. And he went to walk into a bathroom to turn on a bath fan, and there was somebody else home. Let's just say that. And so that started his day in a special way. And it was just funny. I laughed.
Oh, I'm sure all of us in the real estate world have those kind of like funny stories. They're usually funnier after the fact when you reflect on them, except not quite when you're there and you're just like, oh
I
my
was laughing, crying.
Oh man.
It's all good. It was my laugh. Daniel's cry. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, the cry
Oh.
of the week was, when properties sit vacant for a long time in cities, it can happen that squatters appear and take advantage of a situation. Our young, eager flipper who was at an inspection last week got his first experience with squatters in the property that he's buying, and it was pretty traumatic for him, honestly. He's young, he's never had this experience before, and what's really cool about this is that the seller's agent is a fellow investor, and he buys some really distressed properties, I would say. And when we told him what happened, he was like, oh yeah, this is just part of what happens. He was like not fazed by it, but also compassionate, knowing that this was the first time it had happened for this particular buyer. So it was helpful to just have a seasoned investor's experience to be able to relate to our young, eager flipper and tell him that we're going to make sure that the property is secure and that he won't be inheriting squatters. But this is just par for the course and is something that happens. Not something you want to get used to, but something that, should ideally not be quite as traumatic in the future if it happens to him again.
Yeah. I was so surprised by that because I've heard of that in other markets, and I know we're not immune here in Central Oregon, but it is a pretty special bubble. And I was surprised. That was the first time I had actually heard of it in our market.
And it's not just that the sitting vacant either. This, according to the neighbors, this property had been a dope den for a long time. So it was on the radar for this type of character. And it is something that happens. And even in beautiful Bend, we're not immune to it.
Yeah. Also, part of what we do though is make things beautiful. And when our client is done with this, that will not be a problem anymore.
Oh, the neighbors are going to be so happy. With the transformation he's going to do to that place. Moving on, you guys, let's just go to our final takeaways. This is going to be a short and sweet episode, Sarah. So today we really covered why Bend is more of a lifestyle investment play. It's something that a lot of people buy here because they want to have a pad in Bend that they can use when they're here and rent out when they're gone and eventually have a cool place to retire to. And we are very clear with all of our clients that Bend is not a cash flow play. It is an appreciation and lifestyle play. And then we also really dove deep in a lot of our topics today about using time and money as leverage. And again, thinking about that continuum. So at various times of our lives, we have more time than we have money. At other times in our lives, when we're raising families and we're in the thick of it between our 30s and late 50s, we've got less time and a good amount of money, but we're still building, right? So it's figuring out how you want to deploy those resources to your best advantage to create whatever your goal is down the road. And for most of us, it's freedom. It's time to do what we want with the people we want when we want to do it. And Bill and I just read this great book that I would love to share with all of you. It's called The Psychology of Money. And that is what true wealth is. It's being able to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, without restriction. That is what it is, what it means to be rich. And that is what we are building for ourselves and our clients through real estate investments and through private money lending.
Don't wait. Like, it's not worth waiting for the perfect property, for the perfect deal. Like, that is going to cost you the opportunity to start building what you need to start building in order to actually buy yourself back the time what you want to do with your time while you still have it. Don't wait. Start now, even if it's not perfect.
Exactly. And that's something we hear so much from folks. I talked to somebody a few days ago that was just like, man, I wish I had done this 5 years ago. You'll say that 5 years from now. So just start now. Are conditions perfect? No. Are they ever? No. So why wait for perfect if it doesn't exist? Then you're just in paralysis by analysis, and that is no fun for anybody. So we are here to help you take action, take your first or your next step. That is what Sarah and I are really good at, is motivating people to get in the game, whether it's investing in real estate or private money lending figuring out how to get out of corporate, using some of these tools. That is what we are experts in, and we're excited to help you. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you are enjoying the Suzanne and Sarah Real Estate Podcast, you should subscribe and leave us a review and maybe put a little comment in an episode. Let us know what you want to hear more of and less of. So you can DM us at Best Life Bend.
Best Life Bend, yeah. Or
go ahead, go for it, Sarah.
Or I just want to do this. I just want to talk about it.
You do it.
Yeah, because social media is such a great place to connect with us. We make so many friends on social media. So follow us there on Instagram for sure. And Suzanne's at Suzanne Rose Moore. And tell us what else you want us to talk about. Tell us what else you want to hear us say and what we haven't taught you yet. Also, a great way to stay in touch is to just join our investor newsletter or come to our meetup events or watch our meetup replays. We give a lot of juicy info out for free every single day. And yeah, we want you to come along for the ride. So thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. We love having you.
And we'll see you next week with more behind the scenes real estate investing topics. See you next time, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Suzanne and Sarah Real Estate Investing Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, then subscribe and leave us a review because your feedback helps us reach people like you who are ready to elevate their lives. Don't forget to share this episode with someone who's passionate about real estate or personal growth. And for more tips, resources, and updates, follow us on Insta or visit us at CentralOregonInvestorNetwork.com. And remember, you have the power to design the life you want, one real estate investment at a time. See you next week.